All right, what is up, everybody? It is Thursday. That means it is time for Line Breakers FC. Since we got no intro music this time because we're going live on YouTube instead, so let's give us a second to promote out this link and tweet it out. As usual, the show is brought to you by thebreakdownsports.com, and you can follow us on Twitter at BRKDWN_sports. As usual, my name's Rex, here with AJ, Joey B, dealing with that weather situation. So if you're one of those people, wish you all the best luck. But AJ, how you doing out there in Cali?
Dude, excellent. Champions League is back. It was a great slate of games. Europa League was fun today, but your kit is fresh. Show us what you're rocking today.
Yeah, the new Union third jerseys they're taking away their home jerseys or the white jerseys, and this is their white jersey for the season. So that's a power baller move. Love the colors. Always, it's hard not to just sleep in this. And I got El Brujo on the back too. So I don't think you know who Jose Martinez is, but I got our center D mid on the back.
So powerhouse move. Does that translate to titles or some winning for the Union this season?
Well, we got the first trophy last year, so don't come at me with that slander. You guys respect the not the cup champs, the shield champs. So let's get into the Europa League real quick before we break down the Premier League, Serie A, and what we're betting this weekend. AJ, the Galazzo show. Figure it out before the stream. You don't have it, so great topic for us to talk about, but we're still going to hit on the Galazzo show. If you haven't heard of it, it's on CBS Sports, I think. I don't know. I have it because I have YouTube TV. But it's the Red Zone, essentially, is the easiest way to show it. You got any thoughts on it? Would you be intrigued to it? I know it's not going to get you to buy CBS Sports because this is like this weekend or this midweek match and next midweek match where you have like 8 going on at the same time. It's awesome.
Yeah, so Rex told me they basically just show any offensive moves, goals, any threats to the goal, essentially. This isn't a promotion for the Golazzo show. Don't get that wrong. But I think it's a sick idea, especially during these midweek matches when you're possibly working. You could just throw it on in the background, and you can watch matches you probably of teams you haven't heard, especially in the UEFA group, in the UEFA matches.
Yeah, because match I probably would have watched during the 3:00 one while I was trying to work would be the Arsenal match. That ended up being 1-1, terrible. They even show the final like 25 minutes of that match. That's how bad it was doing. Instead, I got to watch the Hoffenheim Molde and the Antwerp Rangers game, and both of them had 6 or 7 goals in them. So that's where it's a lot of fun. It would be interesting to do it on like the final league day where all the teams play at the same time. It's going to be hard if you only have 2 or 3 matches going on, you're just, I don't know, you rather just watch one at that point. But Europa League, it was good for it. Champions League, I know they tried to do it. It wasn't as entertaining because I rather watch on or key in on some teams there. So if you're trying to key in on a game, that's definitely not the show for you, especially whenever they pop to it and you have the over. You're sweating because you're like, it's either a miss or a goal. They're not switching over to this game to show us nothing. So the Europa League, with that Galazzo show, it's interesting. Definitely ways to improve, but it's good ways to get exposure to fucking Antwerp because I would have probably not watched that Antwerp Rangers game.
Yeah, and that one finished 4-3, which was a crazy match, so good for you.
All right, so the Premier League slate, we got 4 matches we're going to touch on real brief. If one of the matches isn't there, hit us up in the comments and we'll break down that match, let you know what we think. Or we might have it in best bets. So if you ask us about a game that we have in our best bets, you'll have to wait to our section till we get there. So with all these great matches to start with, let's go with Fulham versus Sheffield. You got the relegation battle here, AJ. Will you be tuning into this game whatsoever? Because it is the standalone game at 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Most likely not, because
or Saturday.
Yeah, that is midday. But I'm surprised Fulham set at a plus 115 on the money line. I would have to lean Sheffield United here. I think Sheffield United are looking stronger recently. Fulham have picked up some. Yeah, I know. That's a little outlandish, but Fulham have been picking up some spotty results. But I mean, it's a clash of the worst teams in the league. I don't think one team should be so overvalued compared to the other one.
I mean, this is the toughest part is there's 14 matches left. I mean, Fulham only sits 6 points out, so it's not inconceivable that they can't get out of it. But I think this bottom three is here to stay, and this is where one. I was more of a joke. We're hyping up a dope match weekend. We're starting off with the bottom, but I love watching relegation teams play each other. I'm surprised you didn't come back with. You'll be watching your Irvine Anteaters at 3 p.m. probably on Saturday. But with Fulham and Sheffield United, when the bottom table teams play, I love seeing goals. It's an over 2 at -135, but that's where Sheffield United keeps you off playing overs. And Fulham, I don't know how they pull out a win this midweek. That just shows you why and kind of solidified the reasoning why is if they're not a relegation team, they win this past midweek match. They ended up drawing a 1-1. So that's just where I think the over. You're not going to get me to play an over 2 at -135. That's just so fishy where the under's probably cashing through. No strong play on this one. We've spent way too much time breaking down Sheffield United versus Fulham. But, I mean, can Fulham just break that back line that just sits there and just allows you to pepper them with chances? But Fulham's just Fulham this season. And if you're backing them consistently, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah,
all right, the Merseyside derby. A little bit better of a match, AJ. Sorry to cut you off there, but no one's coming here to listen to their Merseyside derby. Finally saw Liverpool get a resounding win. Rough for us. We'll get to that later, but -213 on the money line. Everton +595. They're coming off a match just against City, so even though they're not in the Champions League like Poole did, they still have a same exact midweek match. And this Everton side, I mean, they could beat up on anyone that's lower than them on the table. I think that's the story on them. If they play any of them that's like within 3 points or higher than them, they end up struggling and not pulling out the 3 points that they need, given that's where they're at the table. Poole beating Red Bull, does that turn around the mojo of the season? I mean, I still just think without having Van Dijk there, he was that one centerpiece that without him, this is just a completely different team. And I don't know. I'm not laying a -1, -130 in a derby match. The total's a little bit more interesting to me. But before we get there, does any side stick out to you here?
Sidewise, no. I think fairly priced. Liverpool coming off a great result. Everton getting, I would say, kind of thrashed by City midweek, 3-1. So I do think that. And again, just like you, I'm not laying heavy juice on a derby match.
I saw some wild stat that I don't think Everton has pulled out a win against City in their last more than 8 matches. If not, I think it was double digits. So it's just a club that, like we said, just can't get the points against the top teams. The Merseyside derby, Everton, I mean, the last 2 have been draws, and and that's when Liverpool was more at the top. So regardless of what I was saying about Everton not playing good against the top teams, I guess when you have your derby match, you're going to show up. I mean, if I have to pick play on the side, I guess I'm taking that +1 at even for Everton, maybe get the +1.25 and just hope they can keep it within a goal. But with the total here at the under 3 at -125, I think this is going to be a public over, but this is one that I'd be more willing to jump on because if there was, I like it a lot more than the +1 for Everton, just because I think Liverpool do get 2 in this match.
Yeah, I agree with you. You said it, a public over 3. Well, call me Public J because I almost played the over 3 on our official plays, but I stayed off of it. I think recently Everton have been very weak at the back. Liverpool has shown that they can get goals, but I do think we're going to need Everton to at least get 1 to cash this over, or at least get a push on it.
I mean, when you're Everton and you did lose 2-0 to Fulham, that's where they haven't had their 2 strongest matches in their past 2. So this could be a great bounce back spot. You get it against the rival, but let's just see what Everton's made of. This is a show me game. The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm talking myself into this Everton side. Maybe it's because I'm a little salty about Liverpool against. I have a little part in. We don't have a troll toll like we do on our other shows, but I'm trolling Leipzig later today in that show.
Fair enough. They deserve it, so it's okay.
So no plays from us in the Merseyside derby. Joey B, even though he's not here, does not either. But in the Wolves versus Leeds game, Joey B has one on play in this match, so we'll give it out later. But Leeds, I mean, this game's basically at a pick'em price where Wolves are a little favorite, I guess. But here is another one where this one is Fulham and Sheffield United is a clash of styles. This one's it even more. This is a nice Friday match, 3 p.m. if you want to get your weekend started early. Definitely a match that I'll be tuning into, not just because I'm a supporter, but I love when we get the clash of styles here. Wolverhampton sitting at plus 151. Leeds is around plus 190. A Wolves over 2.5 match is juiced at minus 115 to minus 120. I don't know when the last time that it wasn't a top club that a Wolves match was juiced to an over. They're I guess starting to find their groove, but I mean it's beating Southampton, which isn't anything notable as of recently late. So that's where Leeds. I mean, they showed up last weekend. They had a stellar match. So this is a classic championship match, and we're finally getting in the Premier League. I wish there could be fans here at this one, just because me loving the championship. I've definitely watched too many Wolves games in there against Leeds. But what do you think about this one?
So I guess I have a question for you. So you said the over was juiced at minus 115 for the 2.5. So do bookmakers think, hey, like Leeds are going to be in control of this match where there's going to be a lot of openness, a lot of opportunities here? Or how do you read into that over being juiced? Because it's usually not, you usually don't get an over juice for the Wolves.
It's Leeds. It's what playing Leeds does, where Bielsa's like so stuck on that one style where, especially going up against a counter-attacking team, and without Raul, it's nowhere near the capability of what it was. Traore kind of looking like a flash in the pan a little bit, but it's just Leeds makes themselves vulnerable time after time after time. Look at the team's XG against them, or their XGA. They just let teams get way too many chances, but they just know up top. I mean, Bamford's just kind of making a name for himself, which no one was expecting coming into this season because he was just a Premier League flare-out player. But the Leeds games, I think they're one of the most profitable over teams in the Premier League, if not at the top. They average close to 3 goals a game. So that's just where at Leeds, it overweighs the Wolves under. It's just like Vegas just knows that. I think both teams definitely score in this one.
Okay, fair enough. I personally, I do think Wolves' defense is, I would say, hopefully sound enough to keep Leeds off of their game. So I could see this being a Vegas bait.
Ooh, you think it's a bait?
I think it's a bait line.
Man, I don't know. I definitely think both teams score. I don't have those odds right in front of me here, but this just seems like when you do have so much of a clash of styles, but there's 2 ways this one can go. It can be a painfully boring 0-0 draw, which is the last thing I'm hoping for to start my weekend. But if we get a prime Wolves Leeds games where there was one in the championship where I think it ended 4-1, and there was just bangers up and down the whole time. So that's where I'm hoping for that one, not one of their more recent ones where it was a 0-1, but hopefully we'll get a banger tomorrow to start your early afternoon on Friday, because we all know you're just moving. Your mouse did not go away on teams at 3 p.m. on Friday anyway. For you on the West Coast, I guess it's a noon match, so it's a little bit earlier. But yeah, 3 p.m. Friday. If you don't have all your work done by then, you're not managing your time well.
Spot on.
All right, the last one I want to get into, I don't have any strong thoughts on this one. This is just a match that beginning of the season, if you told me one of the ones I was looking forward to most watching this weekend would be a Leicester City versus Villa game, I probably would have called you crazy. But, I mean, this is what it's going to. We got another juiced over 2.5 at minus 135. You got Leicester City at plus 142 favorites, who did not look good in Europa League today. I can tell you that much from Golazo, because that game was not on there very frequently. And then we have an Aston Villa at plus 185. I mean, we were calling them the trendy team. I think we have to stop calling them the trendy team because they're kind of proving it. What do you think in this one?
Well, I still think they're the trendy team because I think they sit in 8th in the league. So they've dropped off from their top 4 aspirations. returning down a little bit. I mean, it's hard not to take Leicester just because they're a quality side. But like you mentioned, during this midweek, I think it was a 0-0 draw. So not looking good. And Villa has the rest all week off. So they're definitely prepared for this match.
Well, Villa has 2 games in hand as well. So technically, if they were to win both of those, they would jump up to be tied with Chelsea in the Champions League spot. So, I mean, this team did have a COVID phase. They're definitely their recent form, I can say, isn't hot where you expect it to be because, I mean, people were saying Leicester was going to start the season off hot and then start to flare off at the end. Is this the time where we see it? Because they still haven't flared off. They're sitting third at the table just due to goal differential. So they're here to play. If you can get the third place, I mean, at plus 142, it just seems too good to be true. They did sit a lot of people today, knowing that they are still in contention for there. So I don't think Europa is the biggest picture on their mind. So I think you just kind of have to forget today's match if you want to back them. But in my opinion, this is one where I'm just going to watch and then maybe throw in a bet live after I watch a little bit.
Fair enough. I agree with that. And we're done talking to England. We'll jump into my favorite league, which is the Serie A. Rex is going to get us started off with Napoli, Atalanta. Atalanta sits at a short minus 115 money line. Napoli plus 300. Over sits juiced to the under over 3. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely have to crack a beer once we get into the Serie A talk, which you correctly said is the best league in Europe. With Napoli versus Atalanta, you got Atalanta sitting at a minus 115. And this isn't the ratty line. We talked about the scales of the lines.
Mm-hmm.
This one's fishy. Napoli sat Manolas, Kubalali, and 3 other players today, Ospina as well, because Meret just sucks in goal. That was one of the players that I was hoping for. Donnarumma ended up being the top Italian goalkeeper, but Meret, man, he just sucks. I think he's still only 23, so I guess it's too early to say that. But I feel like Ospina will be back in net because if you let up 2 to Granada, there's something definitely wrong with that. But you just dig into the lineup, you saw they rested at least 5 guys. And this is where they just beat Juventus. Maybe they still have some point for the league contention. They would have to hope that Milan and Inter really blow up and Juve keeps on this not downward trend, but keeps not gaining points. So, I mean, if I play any side in here, it's just Napoli because Atalanta sitting at minus 115 just seems too juicy. It follows the trends too much just because they didn't play midweek, blah, blah, blah. That's where I would say I would play Napoli on this side, and then I would definitely play the Asian handicap as well.
Yeah, and that sits at Napoli half a goal even, so pretty solid. But you did mention probably the match of the weekend across all leagues. Inter Milan, AC Milan. Take it away, Rex.
Well, hoping for a much better outcome from the prior one. Going back to watching the game with my buddy, so 9 a.m. sweat. So hopefully we don't go too hard on Saturday night, so I'm not just painful during the game because it's for the top of the table. And if we lose all the 12-point swing in the Milan Derby, Inter can't expect to win the league. Even though they'd still only be 2 points back. It's just I don't know if it's personally thinking if it's just complete. I mean, it's not statistically true whatsoever, but you can't they have to at least blow out a draw here. And them sitting at even money or plus 105, I would not back that whatsoever. I think they go down a goal early. Milan rested players. Zlatan didn't play midweek in the Europa match, or didn't play today in the Europa match. So that does definitely help Inter out, though, that they are out of the Champions League, finished so low in their group that they're like, yep, you can't even get in Europa. But I told you on this stream, that was probably one of my happiest moments so far this season was they can focus solely on the league here, need to pull out all 3 points. And, I mean, in the derby, I just probably won't back the team that's sitting at the even money. I would be leaning on the other side because they always are close. The over here is the much better angle I would go with because the first game, I think we saw 3 goals. I think it was a 2-1 Milan win. So that's where here again, I think it's sitting at 3. I would just wait and bet that over live, which is probably what I'm going to be doing early on Sunday morning.
Yeah, so my book actually has a juiced over 2.5 at minus 135. But like Rex mentioned, if you wait first 10, 15 minutes, you could probably get that down much closer to even. But what do you think about this? So in the Europa League, AC Milan today, they draw 2-2 to a random team. Do you think the public sees that and tries to possibly shift towards Inter Milan, or that has no effect?
That will definitely make the public who just load up Flash Score to make their bets every day. Yeah, they're going to be betting on Inter. Maybe they'll use the lineups tab, but they probably don't know Milan's lineup at that point. So they're just going to assume they played everyone. So I mean, I think it was like a stoppage goal, or it was like an 85th plus minute goal that Milan led up today. They controlled that entire match. They deserved to win that one. So I was kind of happy when they lost. Definitely texted my buddy like 2 seconds after that goal went in, but that is what it is. I mean, it's just Milan when they don't have any significant injuries. They can bring it to the best of them, and they can defend at the best of them. And that's what Inter has struggled with against, is playing a team that can play both sides of the ball at the same quality of level they can, because Inter's defense isn't something you can ever rely on. Milan's defense, on the other hand, you can rely on that every single game throughout, was what we've seen this season. And that's what happened in the first game. You go down 2-0, it's hard to get back 2-0. So that's where Inter can't afford to go down here, because you're playing into Milan style. They still play the old Italian style of, once you get up, park that bus.
Perfect.
All right. Is it time to get into the best bets? So hopefully you faded us on our Champions League show, since Joey B wasn't here. I promise you he would have went positive if he was here on the stream. But I went 0-2 minus 1.5 units. So smart enough to take my half unit off on that Leipzig Liverpool draw, even though it's 2-0. Extremely salty about the way that Leipzig performed, and maybe just 2 minutes of the game that completely cost them it, where they literally, it looked like the Leipzig player had money on the fucking game, because the through ball he sent back on the second goal was picture perfect. The dude didn't have to break stride and just finished it off. So that's where 2 very costly mistakes at the bet cost us there on that one. But at halftime, I was feeling like I should have played out of it, but ended up not doing it. And then Sevilla money line, I think I saw everyone and their mother on that one by there. So I kind of just saw that as like, oof. I didn't like that ticket as it went in there. It did gain some closing line value. Not a significant amount, but by the time that one kicked off, I wasn't feeling too great about it, because I didn't see anyone playing Dortmund, and that's what I should have done that match, obviously.
Yeah, and that sucks, because we talked about how, how we thought Dortmund would have been the public play, but we were incorrect. The public jumped on Sevilla, and Rex paid for it. Myself, 0-1 on the Champions League, had a correlated play with Rex, Leipzig plus quarter of a goal. Didn't really come close. I'm on a terrible cold streak, but my leans were good. My leans were nice. We talked about PSG. They won outright 4-1. We talked about Juve over. That one cashed as well. So just going with my gut this week. One play only to right the ship.
I mean, it is what it is. I wouldn't say it's too cold, because you're still sitting at 500 for the entire show. So when you're sitting at that one and you're on a cold streak, it means you're not too bad of a capper, where if you're on a cold streak and you're still batting 500, and obviously on Line Breakers FC, integrity is key. So that's where we give you the transparency. We give out our plays. We own up to our losers. And yeah, Leipzig, they cost us the show. That's where, why did we ever think an energy drink would pull something through for us? So I got 3 plays this weekend. I'm going to give out 2 of them. AJ will give out his, and I'll give out my last one. So I'll give out my 2 plays in the Premier League to start off with. So I don't know when the last time I laid it with a favorite, and I'm clearly not too happy that I'm doing it this weekend, because everything in me told me to play Southampton. They were almost the dog of the weekend. I almost had one for this weekend just because when you lose 5 straight, Chelsea has their Champions League match coming up midweek this week. And I was just like, everything tells me you have to be playing Southampton. But maybe I'm definitely joining the public here. I'm trying to stay off my contrarian side. I'm backing Chelsea at the minus 0.75 at minus 103 because until this Southampton team shows me that they can semi-compete in a game in the Premier League from what they've seen in their last 5, and I've watched 3 of them, and I don't want to call them Schalke, but 2 of those matches, I'm not saying they're trying to lose or tanking like Schalke has been the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a championship side. So clearly teams go through that in the Premier League. 5 games usually isn't a long streak that one goes on without even pulling out a draw when you sit mid-table like Southampton does. But until they do pull out that draw, if I can get an even price to go against them, they might become the new fate of the show because we have 2 teams that are it, and Southampton's looking to be the third, but we'll see when they pull it out. But I'm going with the Chelsea minus 0.75 at minus 103.
Yeah, I don't hate that pick. A little simple, but something you don't expect from Rex, but he hit everything nail spot on. Southampton were a top 5 team for the first, 10 games and dramatically fallen off. And until they get their ship right, might as well keep on taking the opposite team.
Yeah, I mean, because Chelsea, the defense is going to let up at least 1. But that Southampton defense right now it's just in shambles. So that's just where maybe this is the one they finally figure it out. I mean, everyone was talking about fucking Tuchel and Pulisic are butt buddies and they're best fucking friends. And I think he hasn't even played like a full 90 minutes yet since he's been there. And he's been on the bench for each of them. It's getting really frustrating watching Chelsea matches and not seeing Pulisic play and them performing at the level that they do. But it is what it is. That's enough Chelsea talk because I know AJ's loving every salty second of it. Second play. So this is the first time, AJ, I think on the show, I'm letting you or Joey B persuade me in the play if anyone in the chat does, because both of these plays are exactly the same, but I want to pick which one it is. I have a strong lean on it, but I figured let AJ persuade me on it. Do I go with Chelsea win to 0 at plus 175? Or do I go with the Arsenal team total under 0.5 at plus 128? Feels like an extremely dumb question because there's one obvious answer here. What do you think before I break down of why I like this play?
Yeah, I think you misspoke. It's City to win to 0 at plus 175. But, I mean, you have to go that. I don't see this being a 0-0 draw.
Especially with 50 plus, like 50 points of price too. I mean, because City, they are little favorites, but it's insane that the Arsenal team total under 0.5, and that would be 50 cents off. Maybe I caught it at a good time because the City win to 0 is the way I'm going to go. The last 3 meetings in the Premier League, so I'm not trying to ride trends this episode, but Arsenal hasn't scored at home at Emirates Stadium against City. City, once again, does have a midweek play. So once I saw this, I instantly loaded up the Arsenal team total over and thought about locking that one in. So maybe I'm going against myself because I didn't have the great weekend last weekend. But, I think this is just a City grinds it out, doesn't want to get anything scary, wants to keep the nice lead that they have. That's why I thought it could potentially end 0-0, but then I was like, Arsenal's just too poor at the back. They have David Luiz back there probably playing, so they're going to concede at least one. So that's where City win to 0 at plus 175 almost seems too good to be true, but that is my second play in the Premier League for this weekend.
Yeah, I like that play a lot. Today I saw some highlights, or I guess kind of low lights of the Arsenal match. Not much to look at. Aubameyang missed an absolute sitter from 4 yards out. So
Galazzo fucking roasted him when he missed that one. After coming off the Hattie, too. So I was just like, yep, Aubameyang's not due for another goal for at least 5 matches. So if Lacazette gets this one through, I'll be extremely salty about it. But, I mean, I guess Saka is the player I have to worry about the most there right now. I know
Mhm.
you were extremely high on Aubameyang at the beginning of the season, which, I mean, he does have one hat trick, so maybe that'll help you pay the bookie out for there when it doesn't contribute any funds to it. But I don't know. City, they're on too good of a streak right now, riding their hot streak there. I don't think it's too hard to keep Arsenal to a clean sheet. I mean, you saw them play Benfica today. I mean, they're no scrubs, but
Mhm.
City's defense is levels above Benfica.
But then you also, just quickly before we move on to other picks, is City have, I guess, a look ahead spot to the first Champions League match the following week. Do you think that plays a role at all or no?
So that's exactly what I was thinking as well, because this could be one where if I see the lineup, I'm going to be a little nervous about it. But since I'm getting it at plus 175, so that's
Mm-hmm.
where at the first glance I saw the team total under at 0.5 at 1 plus 28. I'm like, that's a hard hedge piece. But if
Mm-hmm.
this game is 0-0 at halftime, that's where I have to sweat out that first 45 minutes hard, which I don't think it's going to be tough doing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'll probably get Arsenal at plus 0.5 at close to like plus 125 at that point. So that's where you can start playing the hedge out game, guarantee profit game, because it could make the subs late in the game if they're already up 2-0 early. So that's where I think this one at holding City when they nil at plus 175, if you're looking to live bet a game and have fun, I think that's what you lock in early, because I think that's a great hedge piece for midweek bet or for the mid game betting.
Perfect. Spot on. So Rex gave out his 2 EPL plays. I personally have 1 EPL play. It is West Ham Tottenham over 2.5, sits at plus 105. I just think plus money at a over 2.5 with these two quality teams is a little ridiculous. Now, they both have defensive styles, but I think West Ham, I also lean West Ham on this. So I see a West Ham 2-1 victory on this game.
So there's two crosses I have to bear from doing streams. Me, the huge Mighty Hammers fan, saying that they would get relegated this season has probably aged the worst that anything could have ever aged. Secondly, different stream, but basketball related. I rated Baylor as the 15th rated overall team this season.
A little bit off.
I gave Gonzaga number 1, so I can ride that one out. But yeah, extremely wrong on that one either. When books are giving Baylor and Gonzaga minus 105 versus the field out as a bet. So West Ham versus Tottenham. This is more of just where I've been burned on too many. Not always out on the show because I do like to play some plays personally. Those are all like Taco Bell runs. These are all the plays I have my full 1 unit wager on, my full betting tracking that I do, not just plays for fun. But Tottenham overs, I mean, Bale played a lot today, which just shows I don't know why he doesn't play in the Premier League on a consistent basis, because I mean, they looked solid today. Granted, the team they played was kind of shitty. It just this one was another over that I saw that just seemed too good to be true, especially at plus 105.
Mm-hmm.
This is one where I think a 1-1 draw is honestly is the scoreline that comes out from this weekend's match. But if I had to play I'm taking this over 2.5 at plus 105 every time. I'll probably have a Taco Bell run on it this weekend, but those don't get tweeted out on a regular basis.
Fair enough. And yeah, like I said, these are both two kind of defensive-oriented teams, so that is scary going to this. But, I mean, they're quality sides. It is a top-tier fixture, and West Ham looked good, like you mentioned.
So my biggest concern, if this one doesn't get through, and it's going to sound really weird. Ooh, you waking up at 4 a.m. to watch this match?
Have to.
But I'll be up to watch this one for sure. But that's where, if Tottenham scores first, I think that's where you have your biggest issue.
Park the bus.
If West Ham scores first, this over's sailing.
Okay.
So that's just where, when you're up at 4 a.m. on the West Coast watching, or haven't gone to bed yet, haven't decided what West Coast people do about that theory yet, because I've had very mixed emotions on what I would personally do. But, I mean, I think if West Ham score first here, this one's solidly in the bag.
Mm-hmm. Let me see here. West Ham to
So
score. Sorry.
no, you're all good.
Uh,
So as you look up those odds,
mhm.
something I saw on the Twitter sphere today, so I'm not taking it word from word. I spun it and putting some more thought into it. Does Mourinho, as us being player or ex fans of who was at his club with Inter and United, does he purposely pick games he wants to win and lose? Because I 100% think after watching him more, he tactically just picks what games he's going all out to win. Because that's when you see it's like, holy shit, this is a top of the table team, and it's
Mhm.
against like solid. It's not saying like, oh, against Sheffield or against another bottom team that we're grading this against, but
Mhm.
against some of the top games, you're just like, this plan, everything just clicked. This team looks at the top, and then other matches, you just see the 0-0, 1-1 draws where the team doesn't even look like it's trying attacking wise. It just seems like he just has such a pull on the team that he just decides what matches they're going all out to try to win, and other ones they're literally just playing for the draw, which has been probably the Achilles heel of all of his teams are too many draws.
So, are you saying like this is how I interpreted this? You're saying Mourinho throws some matches, and then other matches he goes all out for, or
No, he purposely plays for draws in some matches. I wouldn't say
oh,
throwing it, like he schematically chooses which ones he's releasing a new style, a new wrinkle, a new 11. Like he picks matches that he's going all out for 3, and the rest he's playing for a draw. He's going with the safe play. I guess he's going with the run on 2 of the 4 down or 2 of the 3 downs. Like he's
mhm.
just going to collect a point rather than go for all 3.
Now I kind
No, it's
of
my tinfoil hat I got on today.
I am a Jose fan a little bit, although I do think he's a little bit crazy. But yeah, like mentioned, he is crazy. So I mean, honestly, I could see something like that. And if you see that tweet again, please DM it to me.
No, that was just me saying. That was just someone saying like it's just weird how Marino sometimes it looks like he's trying all out, and other times he's not. So then I put some more thought into it, and I mean, as he won a treble, and I think that was just more of a college coach like Coach Cal just having all the talent in the world, and it just works out that it just happens that you were the coach, so you kind of get more credit than it's due.
Hmm.
But no, Mourinho is definitely. I think it was one of those. No, I know. I remember what it was. It was a tweet where like quote tweet someone who you would have as the manager for a must-win game, and someone
Hmm.
tweeted that it was Mourinho, and I started reading the replies because he was obviously getting roasted in it. So
Hmm.
that's what made me think of it, and then that's what spurred my thought.
Yeah, not a bad thought. But quickly to wrap up this West Ham Tottenham pick, West Ham are even to score the first goal. Tottenham sit at plus 110, so 50-50 shot that I'll either be watching the game or calling it an early night.
Yeah, I mean, it was we're at like episode like in the 50s now for
Hmm.
Line Breakers FC, so it was just more than enough time to that there would be a Mourinho rant or sidetrack when it was just a United and Inter fan on it. Because if you're going to get a sidetracked with comments on that, those are probably 2 of the 3 clubs you would go with.
Spot
All
on.
right, final play of the weekend here. If I would have I mean, I would recommend following it because I think this one hits, but this one is definitely a personal play for me here. All right. Dortmund team total over 2.5 at plus 112. Yes, it is a derby game. Yes, it is a Schalke team that's starting to not look like they're trying to lose, but look formidable. But that's because they started playing Matthew Hope a lot. He's an American, so that makes sense. Um, As of right now, Dortmund is just not letting off the brakes when they play Schalke in their recent in matches, especially since the COVID break. And that's when Schalke have kind of been in the different mindset and attitude. They haven't scored in their past 2. Dortmund's won 3-0 and 4-0. Getting an over 2.5 at plus 112. Yes, you should probably 100% wait and bet this live because Dortmund coming out getting an early goal might not happen. They're coming off the midweek match where they just showed out against Sevilla. Maybe they'll probably have their top 11 in here since it is derby match. But this just makes too much sense where Dortmund, even though they're not a top 3 team in the Bundesliga due to their current point situations, they're going to be at the end of the season. And this is one where I think they just drub it to Schalke and just give it to them because Schalke used to beat up on them a lot. And Dortmund was the team that more frequently had the down year. So this is where I think Dortmund just continues to bury the pain while they still can before they're in Bundesliga too and don't get to play them twice a year.
Yeah, so I honestly don't have too much insight onto this match other than, do you remember when we first came back from COVID and Bundesliga was the first league back? And this match, this derby,
Yep.
I think it's the River something derby.
Riviera or Riverside, either one of those two.
Yeah, so there you go. And
I'm going with the first one. It sounds more European.
Yeah, it does. And we took Schalke plus one, and Dortmund won something like 4-0 or 8-0. So
yeah, so that's one part why it's personal. The second part is, I mean, I lost to Sevilla money line because Dortmund finally showed out and played at their top potential that they've been holding back the whole season. So yeah, that's why it's extremely personal. And thankfully, that was the last time that I backed Schalke since March and just completely rode the Fade train. And as you've been watching on Line Breakers FC, we've been riding the Schalke Fade train for a while here. And it's worked more times than it hasn't. So it's just kind of one of those things where you feel guilty about it, looking at it every weekend, being like, going back to the well here, seeing how he can fade Schalke. But here against Dortmund, I think it's too good of a spot. I mean, anytime I get plus price on fading Schalke in a way that I'm semi-confident about, we're doing it.
Yeah, and just a quick last note. Rex talked about it being kind of a personal, I think it's a little grudge match, but I know Rex wouldn't give out a play or throw his own units on something that he fully didn't believe. So he's just not throwing this out there. So there's that.
Yeah. The fade. There's been plenty of times that I've faded Schalke and haven't given it out here. So this is one time that I'm confident that we see. I mean, the only way this doesn't hit is if it's 2-0 because there's no way Dortmund only score one here. So if you want to parlay, because I know Joey B's here, or not here, but if he was here, he'd be talking me into the Dortmund money line over 1.5 right now. So definitely have to shout him out, and it's a perfect way to shout out his 3 plays of the weekend. So yes, he's affected by the current storms that are going on. Hopefully everything goes well for him in Tennessee there. We can get him back on Monday's episode for our Champions League show. He's got 3 plays. I don't know when Cologne versus Stuttgart, but I'm going to assume that's Saturday, so he has a play for you each day. He's got the Wolves draw no bet at minus 124. Yes, he does say it's a homer pick, but going against Leeds again especially, he likes it. He's got the Milan Derby over 2.75 at minus 110. Definitely the way I'm leaning in that match if I had to play on it. So that's where I think that's a solid play there. He at least gets the half winner because that game gets 3 goals. And then he's got the Cologne Stuttgart over 2.75. I mean, he loves Stuttgart's overs going up against Cologne, a team that does concede almost every game. This could just be his classic 1-1 game that just makes him hate betting overs and it makes him hate betting footy. But over 2.75 at minus 109. He's got 3 solid plays, all not with too much juice. So that's where I like his 3 plays for this weekend.
Yeah, and I mentioned how I thought Wolves over 2.5 was a little bait. So I do think Wolves take this 1-0, 2-0. And yeah, Milan.
Ooh, you don't think Leeds score?
No, I think that one's going to be – Wolves are literally just going to sit 11 behind the ball and just wait for this.
Dude, we've been talking about Taco Bell runs here. That's your $10 play to throw down this weekend if you feel that confident in it, because a Wolves win to 0 is definitely going to be at least over plus 250, if not in the plus 300s.
So Wolves to hold a clean sheet. Sorry, I suck with Bovada. Wolves to keep a clean sheet is plus 230, and Wolves to record a shutout win is plus 340.
Dude, it's weird what I can do with the odds.
So, yeah, I might be turning my one burrito into 5 burritos this weekend.
I mean, it's a 3 p.m. or noon game for you, 3 p.m. game on Friday, where you don't got many other options other than a few Serie A games and a few afternoon college games. So I know I'll have a Taco Bell run in action on tomorrow afternoon. Maybe I'll join you in that one. But if you want to join us in any other plays, you can catch us on Monday. We're going to recap our plays for the weekend real quick, and then you guys can catch us on Monday for the Champions League show where we're both hoping to have a better day. I got Chelsea minus 0.75 at minus 103. I got the Dortmund team total over 2.5 at plus 112. I got City win to nil at plus 175 against Arsenal. And could be doubling the money there with the Arsenal team total on there. That one just keeps continuing to look better and better.
Yeah, you talked about how your West Ham prediction was off. My Arsenal prediction's a little off, but we'll save that for another episode. My only play of the weekend, West Ham Tottenham over 2.5, sits at plus 105.
Oh, yeah. When there's the dead time for the Line Breakers FC, and it's only we'll have the Euro Cup this summer, so we won't have too much dead time. But we're definitely going to have our best and wrong takes episode of what we gave out in that Premier League preview. I still have that Google Doc there, so it's all in written words. So we're going to own up to all the good ones. We're going to clout on all the bad ones. But until then, follow us at BRKDWN_sports on Twitter and check out the breakdownsports.com. Get all your articles there. We got, I think, up to 5 podcasts now. We got 4 different live streams. Any way you want to get there, always comment in. We shout you out. Good ways to win prizes. Just good knowledge that you can always get for free from some quality guys. Until next weekend, you can follow AJ at A_VAD. No, just do it. I fucked it up. I was close.
You had it. You started off so confident, but you can follow me on Twitter at A_VADUKUL. My girlfriend finished her exams, so I get some fun tonight. Thank you for following along today, everyone.
Yeah, I was going to do DKUAL, so I knew I had all the letters correct. Just my dyslexia got me there that I don't have technically, but you can follow me right below on my head on the bottom left or right. I don't know which way it is, but until then, we'll see you Monday.